big, never in the sunken place. Pop off for the home team, always, always. I wanna build a conclave for the black babies in the hallway. Tell them dream big, go the long way. Cause the word is yours like when I say. Cause they don't tell you it could be like this. But this squad only come with the hits. Times get tough, we keep your wits. Can't let no evil touch these lips. We don't take no defeat.
Hello. Oh man, that was crazy. Had a lot of technical difficulties at the last second, but we're here. So glad to be here with you all. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about surviving COVID, family matters, and I wanted to talk about the aspect of family, how much it's impacted families in the different ways that it's impacted families. COVID is this big thing that's taken over the world, and so that's what I wanted to do. The other day when Dom was preparing I don't know if you guys have seen, we have the World at a Glance now, which kind of like shows our menu, so to speak, for the week, like what's coming up. And Dom was like, "Hey, man, like you got a title for yours yet?" And I thought, do you remember where you and your family were, what you were doing, like when kind of like everything changed? Like for me, I was just telling the story yesterday. It was actually my birthday weekend was like the last weekend that everything was open. So I want to say my birthday was on Friday last year. No, it was on Saturday. So we went out March 5th, went out to Dave and Buster's in like the one, right around the way with the mall, in the mall. And we went there and it's Friday night and like it's just empty everywhere. It's like a ghost town. I'm like, oh man, like what's going on here? And it didn't hit me that like this whole COVID thing was in full effect, but that's what was going on. So like, do you remember where you guys were or where you were, how that, what was going on?
Honestly, I can't say that I do. I mean, it didn't. I don't know if it just snuck up on us. I mean, we kind of, a little kind of abreast of the current events and stuff. But I mean, as far as like it being a one moment or a weekend or anything like that, with my work schedule and the kids being in school and stuff back then, it was uh, we really didn't get like a lot of, like go out to do this or whatever time. So for the most part, during the school year, we were at home. So in that aspect, it really didn't affect us a whole lot
Yeah.
until they started canceling stuff.
Yeah. What was that like?
Um, that or was and continues to be pretty awesome because with the way my work schedule was in the past, I might have been at home for maybe two dinners a week. And growing up for me, being around the dinner table with your family was like where everything happened. I mean, I have such vivid memories of being around the table with my parents and my brother and sister. And that's something I've always wanted for my kids. And for the last year, every meal we've been around the dinner table together.
Yeah.
So to us, that's been a really, really huge blessing to get that. We actually made a new dinner table so that we could make it more enjoyable.
Is that why you guys did that?
That's one of the reasons. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yeah, it was with
So
everybody there all the time. We were running. We were like, this thing's small. Let's make this thing bigger.
So for those of
Yeah.
you who don't know, I do. It's a dope table. I'll have him like take some pictures to send me, and I'll post it in there so you can see it, and then you could pay him to make you one for your family. Because I love that. Sitting around the dinner table, something so simple that I think we take for granted. Honestly, one of the biggest things that I saw and learned from COVID was just like the whole concept of just slowing down and enjoying what you have and who you have when you have it. It's like we're always so, all right, this person is like me and this person are in a bad place, or I don't have this amount of money, or I want to go to this place. And it's like, dude, like just like being home is a blessing too. Like obviously, people want to get out and do things, and that's understandable. But if you can't do anything about the situation that you're in, just enjoying it. And something as simple as spending quality time with your family, engaging in meaningful conversation around a wonderful meal is like it's one of the best things ever. And you never know what it'll do for you, for your family, like the kind of impact that it'll have. I know for me growing up, sitting around the dinner table was actually one of the places that I was encouraged to think, like you would think that being in school was, but no, like we'd be around the dinner table and my dad would just be like, all right, so you get $1 million, but you can't spend any of it on yourself. And it's like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know enough people that I like enough to spend $1 million on, but it made you think about it. Like, you got to spend it all. And just things like that. And were there, were there any like cool traditions that you guys came up with at the dinner table, or is it just the putting in that effort of being with each other day in and day out and spending that time together around the dinner table?
I wouldn't necessarily call them traditions. I mean, like I dug around and found some little. It was a new thing for me because we didn't get to do it that often. So I would try to find dad jokes and stuff, and just to just icebreakers. Um, it's counting my wife. It's five girls around the table, so I guess you could say that arguing. You get five women in a room together. Some there's no, just kidding, but no, just enjoying each other and hearing the laughs and seeing probably our dog. Well, he gets up there and not on the table, but he gets up there and participates. My wife feeds him from the table. She ain't supposed to, but that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Just give her a pass.
yeah, yeah. We'll try to clean the table and have a game time or something like that afterwards. Which because it's a thing that this allows because we've got more time together. We'll put a puzzle or a board game or something like that too.
Yeah. And so one of the things that, I think a lot of people maybe, I don't want to say most or all, but a lot of people might think like, all right, so now all of these people are in close quarters and whatever's going on, right? How did like the COVID of it all impact or change the way your family did things or functioned, or did it, like, did it bring you guys closer together? Did it bring you guys further apart? Because there can be a valid argument made for either way, being that close to people all the time. It's like, all right, it's either gonna bring us together or tear us apart because you annoying.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I mean, I can see things, little things here and there that could split us, or not necessarily split us, but could create divide and stuff. But it gives us more opportunity to communicate, and that's always a big thing, And so I'm there more. My wife's there more. I think it's probably helped her a lot by having me around more, because she doesn't have to deal with every issue that comes up, so she can, you know, do more, maybe get some more relaxation, I hope. Um, and just having somebody to say, okay, you know what, I'm not dealing with this thing. I'm going to go cool off, or I'm going to go sit and, uh, you know, gather my thoughts or whatever, and
Yeah.
let another, adult, another parent take care of this situation here. So, for all in all, though, I'd have to say that it's brought us much closer together because it's not just at the table. I mean, we take more family walks, more, every, like I've that's been my thing from the get go with my wife and kids, is try to instill that friends will come and go, but family is always going to be there. So I try to find ways, whether they work or not, I don't know, but to try to just create that bond and and just let them and let home be a place for them to make their mistakes. And that's probably the biggest thing, is have grace for them to fuss a little bit and to argue, because after a while of being around each other, you're gonna get tired of of looking at the same
Can you
people across the room.
can you expand on that a little bit more? Giving them the space to make mistakes, like home is the space to make mistakes, like what that
Yeah,
means.
I mean, I don't see it when my kids and I, like, we go together as a family to other places. I mean, I know every parent thinks their child is an angel, but I don't see my kids do very much wrong when we're together as a unit out and about. Regardless of what is shopping or just in church or wherever these places are. Um, and I know that they need to fuss and butt heads a little bit. And I just, that's, and I think they do it here at home because they feel like they've got that freedom, but maybe, I don't know if it's like they think, I hope they don't think that they have to put on a certain, masquerade or something when we go out. That's not my intent, but I just wonder if, they're like, okay, we're going to wait till we get home and then we're going to let it explode or in the car, but that's the way I've kind of surmised with what they do is it's like, okay, I'm at home, I'm comfortable, I can really let all my guards down and be myself, even if that means that I'm going to fuss with my sister a little bit, or I'm going to maybe back talk mama or daddy a little bit. And I'd rather it happen here where we can deal with it, together than, when we're out somewhere and we make a big scene in the mall. Thankfully, we've never had to do any of those things. So yeah, I guess that's the bottom line of what it was there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like I think that it's so easy to get caught up in like wanting your home to be like this place of peace and perfection where you're so strict and enforcing this rule and that rule, and it's like kids are gonna be kids, people are gonna be people. Like let these
Yeah.
kids make mistakes, let them learn from them here under my supervision, my care, my love, my protection, rather than out there in the public where they'll be judged so harshly for it all. So I think that that's
Yeah.
really dope.
I got a way to equate it. It's almost like a basketball team, right? In practice, that's where you make your mistakes. That's where you hope, right? That's where you hope you make yours. But in the game, hopefully you've refined those things during practice so that game time comes and you put forth your best effort. I guess that's how I would kind of look at it.
Yeah,
Go
I
Tar
get that.
Heels.
So how much, I guess, intentionality had to or has to go into these family dinners and allowing the home to be the space for mistakes and allowing and showing grace and just really spending time together? Because I firmly believe, like, regardless of how much you love somebody, spending too much time, or you can spend the right amount of time with any person and easily get annoyed with them. So it's like how much intentionality goes into being in quarantine, being home from work more, being around these people more, and not being less. I can't think of you. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't think of the word. Um,
Kind of, yeah, I think I know what you're getting at. Honestly, really, I probably should do better at doing things more intentionally. If I'm good at anything, it's all by accident.
I
I'm
approve
not
this
kidding you.
message.
I am not kidding you. There is not one thing I do good that I attempt to do good. If I've done it good, it's by accident. And I've just been under the mindset that you can't love anybody too much. And I try to love the heck out of those girls and love the heck out of Yuki, and hopefully they take something from it. Um, it is some points where, I mean, especially like, we've got a wide range too, because we've got a 17-year-old, 12, 10, and then a 6-year-old. So the 17-year-old doesn't want the attention. The 10-year-old and the 6-year-old, they want it. And I mean, when we're at the table, the two of them you know, try to hoard it a little bit. And so if there's anything intentional, it's maybe, hey, you guys quiet down for a minute. Your sister's, she's got something she wants to say. So
Yeah.
maybe it's being a moderator more than anything. Here and there, something will cross my mind and I'll try to come up with an idea. Like the other day, we tried to, I was trying to get him to talk about the earliest memories. I was just wondering, like, because I don't know about anybody else, but I tried to think, like, was it 2-year-old? Was it like, I don't remember getting my diapers changed. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back and dig to the first memory of being a child, and so it was like just a little exercise in that we could. And actually, it was pretty cool, because my 10-year-old remembers my 12-year-old being born. Yeah. So she has a memory from 2 years before she was born, right? Kind of crazy.
It's like, oh, what? Are you sure you remember that?
Yeah.
That's that's
Yeah, I know,
interesting, man.
right?
And so
Yeah.
you said no matter how intentional you try to be, it's all an accident. Like
It is 100%.
you don't think that maybe you should give yourself some credit for just, I don't know, being a good dad.
Uh, there's none good.
Understood. So, what would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned about family in the time of COVID? I think that like every season of life, whether you take that religiously or like literally, like the seasons, whatever it is, there's a lesson to be learned in each new environment, in each different season and phase and stage of life. And I think that there were a lot of things that I've learned in COVID that don't necessarily pertain to COVID. Like there were things about COVID and vaccines and infections and things like that that people have learned. But like for me personally, some of the things that I've learned is just like, like I said earlier, slowing down. Um, as somebody who goes to church, I think one of the things that I recognized is how much we were like people in church were focused on the building rather than the people. Um, just things like that. So as it relates to your family, what is one of the biggest or some of the biggest things or best things rather that you've learned about? Yeah, let's do that. Something. Give me one thing that you learned about each member of your family in the time of COVID that you didn't know before, if there is something. And I didn't
Well,
prep you, so I apologize.
I'll share. No, no, that's okay. I'm going to share this from a perspective of I actually contracted of what last month COVID. So this is going to be from like actually having it. And
You're talking about
one
having
thing,
COVID.
I yes, I had it for just a couple of days, but well, I don't know how long I had it. I didn't get a negative test afterwards, but anyway, I did get a positive test somewhere along the way. Um, my wife loves me to death, and during those few days, she ended up getting it later on too. Those few days where she could be up here, I mean, anything I wanted, and it wasn't like I was barking out orders or anything like that, but um, she was there. She had it for me. Um, I also learned how much, as maybe this is more about leadership than it is family, but I also learned that when I, for a short period, I actually felt a little scared. And when I showed it, when I let it show, I saw how that affected her. Like, maybe because you'd have to ask her to get her perspective, but my read on what she was going through, it seemed to be like I'm the rock that she leans on. And when that rock was a little shaky, maybe, it made her, even more anxious about what we were facing. Um, as for my kids, later on when my wife and I both were quarantined, so we had our 17-year-old and 12-year-old taking care of the parent stuff upstairs, and to just see the two of them cooking for their sisters and just taking care of school for their sisters and all these little things. I mean, you wonder, you pour into your kids and stuff, and you wonder, are they going to be able to make it as an adult, as a parent, or as a parent one day? And to see them do it just for a short period of time, even though we weren't that far away. I mean, things actually functioned better when we were down in quarantine than I'm not kidding you. Like I told my wife, I was like, I don't think we should leave here. Like they aren't arguing as much. They're not uh, fussing as much. And then the other two, I mean, our 6-year-old, she got three sisters, so she's fairly, if not like she's really independent, and she feels like she's learned what she needed to learn from them. So um, just to see her, I guess, see that on display on a daily basis, and see my 10-year-old. I mean, like she's in fifth grade, and like I can tell you maybe twice all year she's asked me for help. And it's not because she's afraid to ask for it or anything. It's just because she's getting it. And she's done it. She's went through that whole change from being in face-to-face school to virtual school and all that. And it hasn't even phased her. So just to see how strong they are and how they persevered through all that. We did have issue early on with my 17-year-old. She was really um, anxious about, the world's never going to be the same and stuff like that. So it took a lot of reassurance with her. But I think it was also a good time for her to grow and see that, we we adapt as humans. We adapt and overcome to a lot of different situations. And we're getting through this one fairly well, as far as I can tell so far.
Yeah, yeah. As you're speaking, it made me think of two questions. And I'm saying this just so that I don't forget them. But one was
Mhm.
in pertaining to school, and the other one was the anxiety of like this is what I've known or come to know normal to be, and now that's gone. Um, I don't. Where do I want to go? Okay, let's go to school first. What has the whole virtual school and all of that been like? I don't have any school age children, but from there's
Mhm.
social media tells a lot. There's a lot of parents that complain. Some enjoy it. It's this. It seems like there's a lot of mixed feelings. Like, what are your feelings about the? What are yours and Yuki's feelings about the virtual school, and then how do your girls feel about it?
Well, we go through two different kinds. Our older two, so the middle and high school, they do a hybrid. They go to school on one day, and then the next day they do school like on their own at home. And that, I think it's really cool. And my middle schooler doesn't want to go back to regular school anymore because basically it's school for a day and then no homework. And then the next day is only homework. And she really likes that. It gives her a good dose of her friends as well as plenty of time to do school. For the elementary school children, it's pretty much a regular school day. They get up and I think at like 7:30, 7:45, they'll log on and they'll have like a little bit of time with uh, like a Zoom meeting, kind of Google Meet with their teacher and learn a few basics. And then they'll have different, like their assignments sent to them through like a Google Classroom kind of deal. And they just complete them and then they're able to ask questions through email or whatever with their teacher. And then they meet up like with one of them, the older one, she's fifth grade. Her teacher, I believe she stays online with them all day long. So even when they're completing like on your own assignments, she's there and just completing some stuff she needs to do. And she's there available to them if they have any questions. With my kindergartner, they do, or sorry, first grader, they do like a couple of hours with the teacher and then they'll break and do some assignments. And then they'll have like, even like PE and stuff. They're doing that here in the kitchen. They got the thing set up and do little dances. It's all, modified to be able, but the kids are loving it. It's been a struggle for my first grader because she missed what the second or third portion, probably actually the fourth quarter of kindergarten. And now pretty much all of first grade has been this way. So, and that's when reading really starts, you really get reading down. And she's struggled a little bit with that, but she's strong. So I mean, it's nothing that she's not gonna persevere and get through here in the next little bit. But I mean, I love it. I love having my kids around. That's why we had them.
I,
And
it's
it works. And it also, let me put this caveat too, Charles. I'm sorry.
you good.
For us, I work when I do work, I work third shift. So both my wife and I are here and available for the most part when they need it. I understand that, it's not a single parent doing it or, parents aren't home, older siblings helping with it. I know that can create some definitely create issues but for us, we've both been able to be here pretty much the whole time.
Do you think that the both of y'all being able to be there makes it easier? Because like when you were talking about the hybrid thing, um, honestly, I like. It sounds cool. Like I would have to look into it more, but it sounds like that should be the new normal, honestly. That's one of the things that has happened with COVID. We've recognized how much we've been depending on systems that aren't necessary, that aren't efficient,
Mhm.
you know, and it's like, all right, we like all the school buses that are traveling every day. Like, you know, and I'm not advocating for closing school doors or opening or whatever. I'm just saying, like, we've seen a lot of ingenuity because that's what we had to do. And you know, that's one of the
Yeah.
things about well, I'm not getting into America, but yeah. So yeah, do you think that the whole two parent thing makes it easier for the kids, or is it just like from what you've seen, pretty much
Well,
like
like I said, for my fifth grader, for my fifth grader, her school day starts, and she goes to her room. I mean, she tells me bye like she's leaving the house, but she's walking upstairs, and then I see her at lunch, and then she leaves again, and then she's back. So for her, it's like our being here. I mean, today we went off because the older girls, it was their day home, um, and she completes with or without us. Our kindergartner is where our first grader. Anyway, first
she's the
grader.
baby.
She would need the most assistance, and I mean I think it's good because I mean she can ask either or. I mean my wife and I still have things to complete around the house and stuff like that, so it gives her somebody to help her at a moment's notice. But yeah, definitely really good, and that virtual, like complete virtual thing is actually going to be an option for the Fort Mill School District at least next year and maybe on into the future. We won't choose it as we feel like the kids need a little bit more, uh, social interaction.
Yeah,
So we're gonna go back to that. But I've loved having the kids here. Maybe we should just see if we can get some of their friends to come here with them. I don't know.
yeah,
Be able to get both sides of that. But yeah, so I don't think it's ever a bad thing having more parent time, available anyway.
agreed. I agree with that. And so the other question, if I don't get to you right now, I'm gonna forget. Um, the you know you mentioned earlier one of your children kind of dealing with the anxiety of getting situated in a routine and knowing what normal was, and then now like all of that's changed. What has that been like? Kind of easing the tension of your children navigating like, hey, this thing is happening, whatever it is, all of it is happening. Um, but and things are changing. But I guess maybe teaching them that where their anchorage is and things like that. Like how did that work for you? How did you navigate helping them through that? I guess I should say.
Well, I mean, honestly, for me, I went back through things she had already. Every day is different for
Yeah.
everybody, you know. As much as it looks the same, it's not. We make small adjustments all throughout our life, and so I went to some of the bigger things, like when she transitioned from kindergarten, or sorry, from elementary to middle school. When she went from middle school to high school, and I was like, "What did you think about before you went to middle school?" "Oh, I don't think I'll ever be able to do it." I'm like, exactly, So this is a change you had, and just the fact that, and I reminded her, there's no such thing as normal. I mean, it- you know, and those things, and really, what got her through it, those were just words, and I don't think they. I want to think they helped a whole lot. I really don't think they did. I think the things that helped her most were not long after school went from normal, normal, to not what we're doing now, but went to being at home completing assignments at all time. That's how they ended up last year. During that time, she got her license, so that was a win for her. And that, forget about COVID. I got my license. That's how. And with that came a car, and then she also started a job. So those two things,
Whoop, whoop.
I think, yeah, those two things, I think, really were what um, fixed her anxiety. I don't think. I mean, if I get credit for it, it was just, like I said, dumb luck.
I think you don't give yourself enough credit, but you're allowed to not or do. Each person is his own. Um, so as we wind down, what I want to know, sir, is what is the you can't use the family dinners and you can't say family time. Okay, what is
Okay.
the best slash your favorite thing that has come out of COVID as it pertains to your family as a whole?
I can't say family dinners or family time,
We gotta make it
but
your
I've got
thing.
to say family. Yeah. We've got this really cool room I'm in right now. And I mean, this is a family space. Um, it was just a screened in porch before, and then since COVID, it's kind of walled in and pretty much a 3 season, maybe even a 4 season room if we put a blanket on us. Um, so just having this one room where we can all come and set cell phones away, stuff like that. That and during the summer when nobody had responsibilities for the longest time with no
Yeah.
school and stuff, we were at every waterfall we could find within day driving distance. Um, and oh man, just some incredible sights, being able to get out in nature and just play in the water and see smiles and you know pick up some kind of food along the way or whatever. I mean, there were quite a few places still open back then, but yeah. So between this room and waterfalls, I think where family was involved. I don't know. I'm trying not to. I don't know how I
It's
can
like
answer it any better.
how do I answer how something was good for my family without talking about my
Yeah,
family? It's
yeah.
like
We, I mean,
impossible question, Charles.
yeah. We started. I mean, we go on a walk together every day, whether it's at the Greenway with in the trails and stuff, or just here in our neighborhood. And I mean, I'm really a believer that um, doing some sort of physical activity is good for your mind in itself, and then to be able to go and do it together, it's good too.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I like that. So, last but not least, we're about to close out, but before we do, we're gonna move into final thoughts. Final thoughts. You've seen some of our episodes, so you kind of know what they are. It's just we give our guests some time, some opportunity to share what it is that they would like for other viewers to take away from this conversation. But with these additional conversations, we do it a little bit differently. Like the way I do mine, the way Dom does his. It's just going to depend how the flow of the conversation goes and how it went and all that. So for you, I'm gonna give you 2 to 3 minutes, and rather than telling people what you want them to take away from this conversation, um, maybe just use that time to just share some things that help with perspective in terms of navigating COVID as a family, like some of the things that helped you, to lean into that family time rather than like, oh man, we're home all together all the time. It's such a drag. You know, shout out
Mm.
to Shikamaru.
Yes, you will put your hand up or something when the couple minutes up, because I'm like you. I am good at
Well,
continuing
I
on.
didn't
So
say I talked a
um,
lot. Don't you throw that on me.
no, I didn't say you did. I didn't say you said you did. I'm saying you do. Um, not on here so much. Anyway, um, so can you ask the question again?
I don't know if I can. I didn't rehearse it. The question was, can you leave some words of encouragement or like share some perspective that helped you to lean into this time together as a family rather than to just be kind of upset and
Yeah,
pissed and
I
blown with.
got you. I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know how I've gotten it, but somehow I'm told that I'm a positive person. Um, no, and I don't. I mean, just I can't. I do maybe momentarily look at things in a negative light, but it doesn't take long before I've figured out a positive twist to it. One thing I try to instill in my kids and try to practice for myself is that we're not responsible for what happens to us, but we are responsible for how we react to those things. And as the one of the co-leaders of my family with my wife, um, what better way to teach my kids how to respond to the uncertain, the unknown, the bad, if you will, the end of the world, like some people may think or have thought it's happening, than to hit it head on and say, you know what, if this is the end, then we're going to go down with smiles on our face. So
Mm.
I looked at it as an opportunity to take those lemons that were being, cast out. And honestly, maybe some of that comes because I don't watch a lot of news, whether it's mainstream or, right or left, either one. I just, try to, I like to say that I've been more centered in God's word through this, but that's not the case. I do notice that more of it that has been put in me through memorization and stuff has come out. So that's definitely a good thing. But yeah, just trying to, I guess, practice what we preach. And there's always a brighter side to every situation. Um, you may not find it initially. It may take a little bit to get there, but there's always something. I mean, because every situation we've ever been in can be worse. And
Yeah.
I'll say this is one way. And this, I know it's family, but I'm part of the family too. One of the things that helps me in my life more than anything else that has been taken away from COVID is I have a friend that lives in a rest home, retirement home, ever how you want to call it. And monthly, at least, hopefully bi-weekly, sometimes weekly, I would get over and see him. And there wasn't a day that I didn't go in there that he didn't give me some sort of encouragement. Not that he was trying to, but it gave me, I mean, just walking through the halls, I saw, you know what it's like when you go through a hospital with a lot of sickness and stuff like that, or folks like this that are forgotten and stuff. So I would get encouragement from him, but also I got this, I'm not at that point. So why don't, how, you know what I mean? Like, so when you see somebody that's going through a tougher case than you, makes you thankful for what you've got. And that's what God says that his will for us is to in everything give thanks. And so when you do that, I don't know how you can be thankful and grimace at the same time. So
It's like that. The concept and idea of just cultivating a grateful heart. Like, oh, constant gratitude. Well, keeping in step with gratefulness, I'm grateful that you joined us. I'm not only grateful that you joined us or joined me, us, I don't know what the proper way would be to say it since it's just me right now, but it's our thing. I, I always word vomit up here. But not just for joining us, but for also sticking through the technical difficulties, right? Like that was what, like 3 4 minutes that you could have been spending with your family. Well, really, this whole time that you could have been spending with your family, but you joined us and then decided to see if we could fix these technical difficulties, and we did. And we had some interesting conversation. You shared a lot of interesting perspective, and I thank you for it. I appreciate you. Um, I hope everybody that's tuned in enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you learned something from it. I hope that you lean into family more, even if it's something as simple as sitting down for a meal together at dinner time. Or if you can't do dinner, do lunch or do breakfast. Whatever it is you can do, put in that effort, be intentional about spending that time together. because, as we discussed, family matters. This has been another episode of The World Can Wait. We will catch you tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Dom and his guests. In the meantime, go ahead and share this, turn on notifications so that way next time we go live, you won't miss out on any of the conversation. And we'll just catch you next time.
Thank you.